Hey, y'all, welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, as promised, we've got a pick four sequence I think we ought to dig into on Louisiana Champions Day at Fairgrounds, so let's do that. So, on Fairgrounds Champions Day, we've got what I'll call a mid pick four. It's races 5 through 8 on Saturday's card. And this first race we've already covered in the postings. Not much to talk about. It's Touchuponastar. He is clearly the class of this field, coming in third off the layoff in excellent form. Been 12 times in the money out of 12 races. He owns a decided speed edge over the rest of this field. Tumbarumba and Mangum are two 3-year-olds that are shown a little something. So perhaps with a move forward, they can challenge, but they're playing for second, in my opinion. In particular, Tumbarumba, it was a little disappointing, I thought, in the Oklahoma Derby. Pretty much had everything his own way, had the rail, saved all kinds of ground, and didn't respond in the stretch sufficiently to really factor. So maybe against Louisiana State Breds, he'll do a little better. I think Mangum has a little more upside as a 3-year-old. Uh, he seems very versatile, and that indicates class to me. But I think they're both playing for second with Touch Upon a Star. The second leg of the pick four is the sixth race. It's an allowance N1X, now known as a 2 lifetime, at about a mile on the turf for 3-year-olds and up Louisiana breds. And this is a head scratcher. This is a pretty wide open race. There's tons of ways to go. I don't really see anybody as having a decided advantage over anybody else. But in this case, there's two things I want to see are progression and I want to see some value in particularly a race like this. Me Solutions and Moment of Stardom, I'll throw in there, is just kind of logical. But they don't see them as being much better than the other runners in here. So I'm going to try to find horses that look like they may be able to move forward. And they're both 3-year-olds. So Calicoco, the first one we'll talk about, his progress seems to have stalled at the N1X level. But with a layoff and a little growth, he could fire a good one. And he was able to hang late in the last race after some pretty quick fractions. And the switch to grass seems to have been positive for him. So with a freshening and another move forward, he could definitely factor in this race. Great Coolness to me is very interesting. It's a hot barn and a jockey. So I think you have to pay attention to this one. Louis Roussel is 22% with 90-plus layoffs, so this one should fire. And prior to the bench, he had kind of an uneven record with a so-so effort and a starter allowance. But perhaps against State Bred Company, we can elevate him a little bit. And with the layoff, it looks like that he's ready to fire a pretty good race. So we're going to spread with these four, but I think there's a lot of different ways to go. And the closers, is where all the value is, and none of them knocked me out. I just couldn't see anything to get excited about. So we'll stick with these four and hope we can bring it in. Now we'll talk about leg 3, which is the juvenile. It's the 7th race. It's run at 6 furlongs for 2-year-olds, Louisiana breds, and we have a posting on this one, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But I think Good and Stout is definitely the horse to beat. Is moving forward, heading in the right direction. Had a really good race last time. I thought it was a kind of a BS disqualification. I didn't really see any reason to knock him off, but they found something. But he really looks like he's turned away strong promise in the stretch. He looks like he's definitely poised and moving forward. El Dinero is always a factor in every race he runs in, but his late running style in this race, I'm not sure is necessarily going to work. He's done everything right, and the problem is in the Peluso, his last race, he had the open rail. He had a candy ride. Everything went his way, and he still couldn't get it done. Or he got it done, but I just didn't like the fact that he needed that type of advantageous trip in order to run a good race. So I think more than under. Under is more likely for him. Stovall, I think, had a front-running third on a closer favoring track in the Peluso. He's been improving steadily, and another jump, I think, gives him a chance in this race. Certainly have to like front runners in sprints. Excuse me. Strong promise, just a note on him, he's really gone off the rails. I just don't like his form at all. And at 3-1, I've had it really hard to take him. So I'm going to let him beat me. I'm not going to use him. Spinning Aces has really hasn't done much wrong. Has been improving fairly steadily. The best effort the last in the race in the Lafitte, but thing is, he really hasn't been running against very much. So this is a class jump. He'll be stepping up, and we'll just see if he's good enough. I mean, I think it's certainly possible, but I think Good and Stout maybe, since he's been facing a little better class-wise, I think has a better chance to win this. And then Sounds Like Power is more for underneath, just to clunk up. He'll be coming from off the pace. I think he's got enough to get underneath for the exotics. So if we had to focus in, Good and Stout, definitely the number one is my choice to win this, but I think El Dinero and Spinning Aces probably be the other two logical alternatives. The last leg of the pick four is the Turf. It's the 8th race. It's running a mile and a 16th on the turf for 3-year-olds and up Louisiana breds, and this is a really good race. It is devoid of early speed, though, as you can see, and that's kind of the interesting thing about it more than anything else. Real City Speed is coming off an optional claimer where he won off the pace, but this one has versatility and can win from the front end, and I would think would probably end up inheriting the lead because there just isn't any other early speed in this race. So I think Real City Speed coming in the race in pretty good form. There are some tougher in here, but does have a chance to slow it down and steal it on the front end. I don't see why not. So one to think about. Woods and Water is pretty logical. An okay effort off the bench and dirt in the last one. Has the goods to factor here. He can rate near the pace if he needs to, and I think that's a big plus here. So his best is good enough to win this race. So Woods and Water, certainly one to consider. Regal Kingdom has been facing much tougher. So he gets nice class relief here, and he's a 3-year-old, so still growing, still hopefully improving. I don't think he necessarily needs pace to run to in this spot, and that's actually, that's a really good thing in a paceless race. And the fact that he's going to be fresh and has shown some back class, so I think this one is certainly one to consider. You're getting a great price at 8-1. I think this one offers really good value, and his run fine at shorter distances. Been running kind of long lately, but I don't think the cutback's going to be an issue. So Regal Kingdom, I think, is one to consider. Who Took the Money is last year's winner, and coming into this race basically the same way as he did last year. A solid effort in a dirt route last time. The only concern I might have is that he's been a little too far back in his last couple, and sometimes that can happen. You get used to relying on that huge kick, and so you drift a little bit to the back. It's going to have to be more forwardly placed here. I don't think there's any question about it. Is this one capable of it? Absolutely. We'll have to be rating a little more forwardly. I think that would be the ticket, and certainly it's entirely possible that Who Took the Money could repeat here. So here's what our ticket's going to look like. In leg 1, race 5, we're going to single Touchuponastar. I don't think anybody can beat him in that race, and probably one of my more confident singles. I don't think he's awesome. In leg 2, race 6, I think we definitely have to spread. I wouldn't talk you out of going even deeper than this, but since we're going to have, it looks like kind of a chalky sequence. I don't want to go too deep in any of the races, so we're going to go with 2, 3, 8, and 9 in leg 2. In leg 3, I think it's a little more straightforward. I think Good and Stout is the horse to beat, but you do have a couple of challengers there that look pretty good. So we'll go 1, 6, 9. And then finally in leg 4, race 8, we're going to go 4, 5, 6, 8. I think that's a really good race, and I don't think it's a lock for Who Took the Money there. I think there's definitely some other options. Hopefully we'll get some value. So that's 1 times 4 times 3 times 4. That's a $24 ticket on a 50-cent base. And if it does come in a little chalky, we still should be able to get a good ROI out of it. So let's hope for some value to jack up the ROI, which we always love.
So that's the pick four. I think it's a pretty good sequence, and there's some good races to be had in it, particularly in the juvenile and in the turf. I think we've got some really good fields, and they hopefully should offer some value for us, and we can anchor it with Touchuponastar. I think is a pretty safe bet to single in the first race. So hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy, and wish you the best of luck as always. And of course, please like and subscribe. We do appreciate those of you who have joined so far, and look forward to having more of you. So thanks for that in advance. That's it from here. We're going to have more postings. We'll have the late pick five for Champions Day, so be on the lookout for that. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.